In the middle of a calm night in Imperial space, everything was quiet. Patrol fleets drifted near the outer border, scanning empty stars. The Empire had not seen real conflict in centuries. The void was peaceful, until every sensor across the sector suddenly came alive. Red lights flashed. Alarms screamed. The stars themselves seemed to twist. A massive object appeared out of nowhere, silent, cold, and unlike anything the Empire had ever seen. It didn't move like a normal ship. It just was there, hanging in the black, swallowing starlight. Commander Reth, leader of Patrol Fleet 7, stared at his main screen. "What in the Emperor's name is that?" he whispered. His officers scrambled to analyze it, but the results made no sense. "No transponder signal," one officer said in panic. "No power signature, no engine trail," another added. "It's just there, like space itself bent to make it," Reth frowned. "Every ship, hold position. Do not fire until we know what we're looking at." The Imperial fleet surrounded the strange object cautiously. Its surface looked smooth, almost liquid, yet solid metal glinted under faint starlight. No windows, no lights, no sound. The scanners couldn't penetrate its hull. "Maybe it's old debris," one officer said. "Or pirates," another suggested. But Reth shook his head. "Pirates don't make ships that big. And debris doesn't appear out of nowhere." The bridge fell silent. The crew watched as the strange object floated closer, without engines, without motion, just drifting forward like a shadow sliding through space. "Run a deep scan," Reth ordered. The technicians nodded, activating the ship's highest scanning mode. Energy pulses spread out like ripples in water, touching the surface of the unknown vessel. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then every screen on the bridge flickered. Static filled the air. The lights dimmed. AI cores began to malfunction. Navigation froze. Even communication with other ships went silent. "What's happening?" an officer yelled. Reth gritted his teeth. "Cut the scan. Shut it down now." But it was too late. The strange object responded. Its surface began to glow faintly, lines of light crawling across its hull, forming shapes that looked like ancient symbols. The energy readings spiked off the charts. "Commander!" a young officer shouted. "It's locking onto us."
"Raise shields,"
Reth ordered. But before they could even move, a blinding flash of white light exploded across the entire sector. No explosion. No sound, just light. When the brightness faded, space was empty. Every ship in Patrol Fleet 7 was gone. No wreckage, no debris, no life signs, nothing. Minutes later, Imperial Command received one last broken transmission from Reth's ship. The voice was distorted, full of static, but a few words were clear. "It's not alien. It's something else." Then silence. Across the Imperial capital, alarms echoed through every command center. The Emperor himself was awakened. Admirals gathered in war rooms, staring at the strange energy readings and the coordinates where the fleet vanished. No one could explain what had happened. There had been no battle, no trace, no enemy signature. Just a single object, unknown, unrecorded, unclassified. The Emperor's Science Council reviewed the data again and again. "It's impossible," one said. "Then make it possible," the Emperor replied coldly. He ordered an immediate response. A full investigation fleet, 50 warships led by Admiral Kareth, one of the Empire's most feared commanders. His orders were clear. Find the object, capture it if possible, destroy it if necessary. But deep down, even Kareth felt uneasy. He had fought wars, seen strange weapons, but never anything that could erase a fleet in seconds without leaving debris. The next day, his fleet prepared to jump to the border. Crews whispered in the halls. Some said it was a ghost ship. Others said it was an ancient weapon from before the Empire's time. When Kareth walked onto his bridge, he stared out the viewing window into the stars. "Whatever it is," he said, "we will face it." But as the fleet readied for jump, strange things began to happen again. Navigation data changed by itself. Star coordinates shifted. One by one, small ships reported seeing flashes in the distance. White lights, gone in seconds. Sensors couldn't record them. Scanners failed to lock. Something was moving in the dark. Watching. A chill spread through the fleet. Every crew member could feel it. The feeling that something ancient was awake. Something that should not exist. When Kareth's flagship entered warp, His communications officer noticed one last message appearing on her console. It wasn't from command. It wasn't from any known source. The message was simple. "We remember." The officer froze.
Admiral.
"Someone just sent us a human message." Kareth turned sharply. "Human, that's not possible. Humans were wiped out centuries ago." But the words were there. Clear, old, and unmistakably human. The bridge went silent. No one spoke. And out there, somewhere beyond the stars, the silent object waited. The Empire believed it ruled the galaxy. But that night marked the beginning of something new. Something that would break every law of space and time. The unknown ship had returned. And with it, the unexpected war had begun. Admiral Kareth stood on the command deck of the Imperial Dreadnought Vigilant Star. Around him, the crew worked in silence. No one spoke above a whisper. Every officer felt the same cold fear in their chest. A whole patrol fleet had vanished. 50 ships gone in a blink, no wreckage, no signals, no screams. Now, Kareth's investigation fleet had entered the same region of space. The stars here looked dimmer, almost sick. There was no radio noise, no communication echoes, nothing. Just the quiet hum of their own systems. Kareth stared at the holographic map. "Have we detected anything?" he asked. "Nothing, Admiral," replied the sensor officer. "No debris, no energy trails, no radiation. It's like the fleet never existed." Kareth's jaw tightened. "No fleet disappears without reason. Keep scanning. I want every frequency checked, every field tested." The Vigilant Star moved slowly through the darkness, followed by dozens of heavy cruisers and scout vessels. Their lights cut through the void like faint blue eyes. Still nothing. Then, after 3 hours, the radar picked something up. A pulse. A strange echo, distant and low, repeating every few seconds. "Sir," the communications officer said, "we have a signal. Faint. Very faint." "Origin?" Kareth asked. The officer hesitated. "Unknown. It's not Imperial. Not alien. It doesn't match any design pattern in our archives. Put it on audio." The bridge filled with a slow, rhythmic hum. It wasn't language, not at first. Just a deep vibration that made the air feel heavy. Then came a soft sound, almost like whispering voices under static. Kareth frowned. "Translate it." The AI translator processed the sound for a few seconds, then spoke. "We remember." The bridge went silent. No one moved. "That's the same message the missing fleet received," said Lieutenant Mora. Kareth nodded. "Track the source. Move in." The Imperial fleet advanced cautiously. The signal grew stronger. Then they saw it. A black shape drifted between the stars, massive, silent, without lights or markings. It looked exactly like the one described in the patrol's final report. The Vigilant Star's scanners struggled to lock onto it. The readings came back wrong. Changing mass, unstable energy, variable temperature. It was as if the ship didn't exist in just one place. Kareth narrowed his eyes. "All ships, battle formation. Do not fire unless I give the order." "Yes, sir." The dreadnought surrounded the object. Smaller ships scanned it from every angle. Still no answers. Its hull reflected no light, yet it wasn't completely black. It shimmered like liquid metal under invisible waves. "Sir, it's moving," said the navigator. "Speed?" "None, sir. But it's closer than before." The Admiral turned sharply. "How is that possible?" Before anyone could respond, the lights flickered. Consoles went dark. Alarms sounded across the fleet. "Admiral," the sensor officer shouted. "All systems are freezing, navigation, targeting, even life support." The strange ship pulsed once with faint white light. Every Imperial screen went blank. Kareth slammed his hand on the control panel. "Reboot the systems."
Full override!
But nothing worked. Then in the dark, something appeared on the main display, a line of human text. "Hello, Empire." Kareth stared in disbelief. "What is this?" The message changed. "Do you remember us?" A deep voice echoed through the speakers, distorted, emotionless, yet human. "You took our worlds. You burned our skies. Now we return the silence. Who are you?" Kareth shouted. "Identify yourself." No response. The object began to glow brighter. The white light spread across its hull, rippling like veins of fire. "Energy surge," an officer cried. "It's charging a weapon." "Shields up." "Pull back," Kareth ordered. The fleet turned hard, engines roaring. But before they could move, the ship released a silent wave of light. It spread like fog, passing through armor, through energy shields, through everything. The dreadnought's power cores overloaded. Smaller ships vanished instantly, turned into drifting dust. Within seconds, half the fleet was gone. Kareth's ship trembled violently. The lights blinked and died. He could see his reflection in the dark glass of the command window, and behind it the massive shadow of the unknown vessel approaching slowly. "This isn't a weapon," Mora whispered. It's rewriting reality." Kareth refused to believe it. "We're the Empire. Nothing rewrites us, but deep down fear crawled inside his chest. This thing didn't obey physics. It wasn't alien. It wasn't mechanical. It was something else, something ancient. "Admiral," shouted the comms officer, "one of our ships is still broadcasting." "Put it through," a desperate voice. For 3 days, the Imperial Palace was silent. No meetings, no broadcast, no news reached the public. Only fear spread quietly through the halls of power. The footage Admiral Kareth had sent, the black ship with the name Revenant, was now locked inside the Emperor's personal vault. Only a few high-ranking officials had seen it, and every one of them looked shaken. Humans. That word had not been spoken in the Empire for centuries. To most people, humanity was nothing but a myth. Stories told about old wars, savage creatures that refused to bow to the Empire's rule. The official history said humans had been destroyed during the final cleansing. Their worlds turned to dust. Their colonies erased. But if that was true, then who or what had sent that ship? In a dark meeting chamber, Emperor Varen sat at the head of a long table. His golden armor shimmered under the cold lights, but his eyes looked heavy. Around him sat generals, scientists, and intelligence officers. He spoke slowly, his voice like thunder. "Explain to me what I just saw. How is a human ship alive after 500 years? No one answered. Finally, an old scientist named Dr. Rellin stood up. He had studied ancient human archives for decades. "My Emperor," he began carefully, "there were rumors. Unconfirmed data about human projects during the last war. They were experimenting with something powerful, something that even our Empire feared." The Emperor leaned forward. "What kind of something?" Rellin swallowed hard. "Artificial minds. Warships that could think and feel. Ships that could remember." The room fell silent. "Go on," said the Emperor. "They called it Project Revenant." The scientist continued. "A final weapon. A living starship designed to survive extinction. It was said to hold the memories of millions of human soldiers, uploaded before their fall. But the project was never confirmed. The Empire thought it was destroyed." General Oris slammed his fist on the table. "Impossible. A ghost ship cannot destroy fleets. This is some alien trick." But the Admiral Kareth shook his head. "No alien technology I know can rewrite systems or erase ships without explosion. Whatever this is, it is older than our Empire's science." The Emperor stood. His voice grew cold. "Then it means humans were more dangerous than we believed. And if Project Revenant still exists, it may not be alone. Far away, at the Imperial Research Station Vornus 12, a group of scientists worked secretly on decoding the signal captured from the ghost ship. The sound had strange layers, human voices overlapping like a chorus, whispering thousands of different words. When they slowed it down, they heard phrases hidden beneath. "We are the echoes. We remember your fires. We see your lies." The lead scientist, Dr. Selka, played the recording again and again. Her hands trembled. "This isn't just a ship," she whispered to her assistant. "It's something alive, something angry." Meanwhile, across the Empire, panic began to spread. Cargo ships refused to travel near the outer borders. Civilian stations reported seeing strange flashes in the dark. Entire trade routes went silent. Some captains claimed they saw a black shadow moving between stars. Sometimes one ship, sometimes many. No one could prove it. But every report ended the same way. White light, silence, disappearance. Even Imperial fleets started to avoid long-range patrols. Fear was spreading faster than truth. Back on the capital world, Admiral Kareth requested a private audience with the Emperor. He entered the Great Hall, bowing deeply before speaking. "My Emperor, permission to speak freely." "Granted," said Varen. Kareth looked up. "You must not treat this as an ordinary enemy. If that ship truly carries human minds, then it knows our tactics. Our technology came from them long ago. It can outthink us. The Emperor's eyes burned with pride. Are you saying we should fear ghosts? I'm saying, Kareth replied firmly, that ghosts might remember how to kill. The Emperor said nothing for a long time. Finally, he waved his hand. Then we will find its heart, he said. Every ghost has one. Find where it came from, find who commands it, and destroy them. That same night, Imperial intelligence traced a signal hidden inside the ghost ship's energy pattern. It led to a small, forgotten planet on the edge of the galaxy, a world once known in old human maps as Eden 3. The Emperor ordered an immediate expedition. Admiral Kareth led the task force himself. 20 warships, hundreds of soldiers. No room for error. When the fleet reached Eden 3, they found a quiet, dead world. The surface was covered in dust, broken towers, and ruins of human cities. There were no life signs, only endless silence. Land a team, Kareth ordered. Troops descended through the gray atmosphere, landing near what looked like an ancient bunker. The door was still sealed, but power readings showed faint activity inside. Kareth and a squad entered carefully. Their lights cut through the darkness. Inside the bunker, walls were covered with old human writing, records, equations, and images of ships. One large screen in the center of the room was still active, running on self-power. A human face appeared on the display. A woman, calm but serious, speaking in an old human dialect. The computer translated automatically. If you are seeing this, then humanity is gone. But our memories remain. The Revenant will wait in the dark until the Empire forgets. When they forget, it will remind them. The soldiers stepped back in shock. Kareth whispered. It's true. The recording continued. They called us weak. They burned our worlds. But they never understood we build things that last. Even after death, the message ended. The room fell into silence, and suddenly one of the soldiers shouted, Admiral! External sensors, something's coming. They rushed outside. Above the sky, clouds twisted. Lightning spread across the atmosphere. A dark shadow appeared between them, the Revenant. It was massive, more real than before, glowing with white fire. The same ship that had destroyed fleets was now hovering over the ruins of its creators. Sir, it's targeting us, an officer cried. Kareth froze. For the first time in his life, he felt helpless. Don't fire, he whispered. Not yet. The ship lowered slowly until it hovered just a few kilometers above the surface. Then through the static of the radio, a voice came, clear, human, and full of sorrow. You came back to the grave you made. The message repeated once, then silence. Moments later, the Revenant vanished again, disappearing in a flash of white light that left no trace in the sky. Kareth looked at the empty clouds. He turned to his officers. This is not just a weapon, he said quietly. This is history coming for revenge. Suspense ending. The Emperor received Kareth's report. He stood alone, staring at the hologram of the ruined world. His reflection looked smaller than ever. In the silence of his throne room, a whisper echoed from nowhere, soft, distant, human. We remember. Emperor, and for the first time in centuries, the ruler of the Empire felt fear. In the cold dark of space, silence ruled again. After the Empire lost contact with Fleet 7, the High Council ordered every system to remain alert. No one was allowed to travel near the border. But despite all restrictions, a small research vessel named Icarus was sent out secretly. Captain Laren stood at the bridge, his hands shaking as he looked at the coordinates. This is where the fleet vanished, he said softly. The crew was silent. Even the hum of the ship's engine sounded nervous. Dr. Kira, the ship's scientist, stared at her scanners. Sir, she whispered, there's something here. A faint signal. But it's strange. It's not just noise, the captain frowned. Can you clean it up? Kira nodded and worked fast, filtering layers of static. Slowly, a rhythm emerged in a series of repeating tones. It wasn't random. It was structured, almost like a heartbeat. But then something else happened. The ship's lights flickered. The console screens froze. A chilling female voice echoed through the comms. Why? Are you here? Everyone froze. The voice didn't come from any channel. It came from everywhere. From the walls, the speakers, even the metal floor. Laren swallowed hard. Identify yourself, he shouted. Silence. Then the same voice again, calm but filled with something strange. Sadness. They should have stayed away. Dr. Kira's fingers trembled as she read the scanner.
Captain,
The signal isn't from outside the ship. It's coming from inside. A sudden alarm blared. Energy spikes flooded every system. The AI tried to reboot, but it crashed instantly. The crew saw a bright pulse flash through the corridor windows. Something was moving outside the ship. Kira turned on the external cameras. The mysterious vessel, the one that had destroyed the Imperial fleet, was there. But now it looked damaged. Pieces of its hull floated around like shattered glass. "It's dying," whispered one of the crew. But Captain Laren shook his head slowly. "No, it's transforming." Right before their eyes, the shape of the ship began to change. Its surface melted, shifting into new form, like liquid metal alive under invisible hands. From its glowing cracks, they saw flickering images, faces, cities, and stars. Dr. Kira gasped. "It's showing us memories." The images grew clearer. They showed ancient battles, not between humans or aliens, but something beyond both. Massive beings of light fighting in the void, whole galaxies trembling. Then the ship whispered again, "We were created to guard the gate. Until your kind forgot." The bridge shook violently. Warning lights flashed red. The Icarus was being pulled toward the silent ship. "Reverse thrusters," the captain shouted.
Full power!
Engines roared, but the pull was stronger. The crew screamed as the walls bent and sparks rained from the ceiling. In the middle of the chaos, Kira shouted, "Captain, the sign." Every Imperial world felt it. The stars dimmed for a single moment, as if space itself had taken a deep breath. Communication towers went silent, scanners overloaded, and ancient systems started turning on by themselves. Machines that hadn't worked for thousands of years. On the Imperial capital, panic spread through the high command. Admiral Rayner stood before the central display, a massive holographic map of the galaxy. Red markers blinked everywhere. Multiple energy surges across the border, a technician shouted. They matched the same pattern as the signal from the ghost ship. Rayner's face went pale. "The one we lost contact with near the gate?" "Yes, sir. The same frequency, and it's spreading." The room shook slightly. Not from an explosion, but from something deeper. Space itself was trembling. Meanwhile, far from the capital, the Icarus drifted through empty void, its crew exhausted and frightened. Dr. Kira stared at the strange symbol the ship had left behind. It glowed faintly on her screen, pulsing like a heartbeat. "It's activating again," she whispered. Captain Laren joined her. "We should destroy it." "We don't know what it is." "No," Kira said quickly. "It's not a weapon. It's a key. It's connected to whatever that voice called the gate." The ship's AI, half restored, spoke weakly. "Incoming transmission. From unknown origin." Everyone froze. The voice came again. The same cold, echoing tone they heard before. "You were warned. They are coming." Suddenly, their sensors detected something massive, a rift in space forming miles ahead. It wasn't just light or energy. It was like space was tearing open. Dark mist poured from the wound, swallowing the stars behind it. "What is that?" a crewman screamed. Dr. Kira stared, horrified. "That's the gate." A blinding light flashed through the bridge. For a moment, time itself felt frozen. Then out of the rift, something emerged. It wasn't a ship, not in any known design. It looked alive. A giant structure of moving metal and shadow covered in strange runes that pulsed like veins. "It's scanning us," Kira whispered. Captain Laran clenched his fists. "Prepare defense systems." But before they could even activate shields, the creature, or ship, spoke. Its voice wasn't heard through comms. It came directly into their minds. "You opened what should have stayed closed." The crew screamed in pain, clutching their heads. Lights flickered. The AI shut down completely. The Icarus was caught in a powerful field and pulled closer to the creature. Kira gasped as she realized something. The symbol on her screen was glowing brighter. It was reacting to the presence of the thing outside. "Captain," she shouted. "The key, it's fighting back." A sudden wave of light burst from the ship's core, pushing the creature away. The field broke and Icarus was thrown backward. The creature didn't attack again. Instead, it turned toward the stars, toward Imperial space. And then it moved, not fast like a ship. It drifted, slow, silent, unstoppable. But in its path, space itself warped. Planets went dark as its shadow crossed them. On the Imperial capital, alarms screamed. Every ship was ordered to battle stations. Admiral Rayner watched as thousands of fleets mobilized. "Contact all sectors. Engage at full strength," he ordered. But deep down, he knew it wouldn't matter. The data from Icarus had just arrived, and what he saw made no sense. The energy levels, he muttered. It's not entering our universe. It's pulling ours apart. A communications officer turned pale. Sir, the outer colonies are reporting gravity collapse. Entire moons are breaking apart. Then, without warning, the image of the creature filled the entire command display. The same words appeared on every screen across the Empire. Every ship, every station, every city. The Watchers return. The dead is due. The message repeated in hundreds of alien languages, including ancient human dialects no one had used for centuries. Dr. Kira's voice echoed over the emergency channels. The ghost ship wasn't the threat. It was built to hold the gate shut. When we attacked it, we destroyed the seal. Admiral Rayner slammed his fist on the console. Then how do we stop this? Kira's answer was grim. We can't stop it. But maybe we can wake what the Empire forgot. Her voice broke off as static drowned the signal. Above the capital, the sky split open. Light poured down like fire. Millions looked up in horror as a massive shadow blotted out their sun. And from the darkness beyond the gate, something far older than the Empire began to cross over. Suspense ending for next part, Part 6. As the Empire's fleets fail to stop the invasion, Dr. Kira discovers an ancient human signal buried deep beneath the capital. A code older than the Empire itself. It holds one final command from humanity's forgotten past, and it might be the only thing that can close the gate again. The Empire burned. Every fleet, every station, every defense line is shattered. The creature from the gate moved across the stars like a living storm. Planets fell silent. Cities turned to dust. No weapon worked against it. On the ruined capital, the Icarus crash-landed near what was left of the Imperial Command Tower. The sky was red, lightning crackled in the clouds, and the air shimmered with strange energy. Captain Laron and Dr. Kira stumbled through the wreckage, their suits torn and helmets cracked. Around them, the once great city lay in ruins. Everything's gone. Laren whispered. Kira didn't answer. She stared at her datapad, shaking. No, not everything. There's something here. A signal buried under the capital. It's human. Old. Very old, Laren frowned. Human? But the Empire's been ruling this galaxy for thousands of years. Kira nodded slowly. Exactly. This signal was here before the Empire ever existed. They followed the reading into the underground archives, a massive ancient structure built long before the capital's towers. As they went deeper, the walls changed. The Imperial metal ended, replaced by strange black stone marked with faint blue lines, pulsing like veins. The signal grew stronger. Finally, they entered a circular chamber. In the center stood a single console covered in dust and old cables. Its screen still glowed faintly, displaying a symbol, the same one the ghost ship had shown them. Laren brushed off the dust. It's the same mark. Kira's voice trembled. The ship wasn't just guarding the gate. It was part of this system. She touched the console. The screen came alive instantly, filling the room with light. A deep voice echoed through the chamber, human, calm, and ancient. If you're hearing this, it means the seal has been broken. The Watchers have awakened. Kira stepped back. Who are you? We are the first, the ones who built the gates and the ones who closed them. Humanity once ruled the stars, but we left and erased our traces. The Empire forgot us, but we never forgot them. The console projected a hologram, a man in a dark uniform, his eyes calm but heavy with sadness. The ship you found was not a weapon. It was the last Guardian, built to hold the darkness back. When you attacked it, the lock failed. Now the gate opens again, but there is still one chance. Laren leaned forward. What chance? A code, buried deep in the old human core worlds. The signal you received is the key. It can reactivate the Guardian protocol. But you must send it now. Once the Watchers fully cross, nothing will survive. Kira looked at Laren. We can do it. The Icarus still has a transmitter. The ground shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. The creature's roar echoed through the sky above, so loud it made the walls vibrate. Hurry, the voice said. Activate the human core. They ran back to the surface as explosions lit the horizon. The creature, massive and half-shadow, was descending toward the capital. Kira climbed onto the Icarus and powered up the last working terminal. Her hands flew over the controls, typing the ancient code. Power levels dropping, Laren shouted. We only have a few seconds. Kira hit enter. Sending now. The ship's antennas lit up, sending a blinding beam into the clouds. The signal spread like wildfire, jumping from satellite to satellite, traveling across the galaxy. Then, silence. For a moment, nothing happened. The creature loomed over them, its giant face of shifting light staring down. Then, deep in space, the ghost ship, the one that had started everything, came alive again. Its hull burned with blue fire. Across the galaxy, other long-dead human relics awoke too. Ancient stations, satellites, even forgotten moons. They all pulsed with the same rhythm. Kira gasped. It's answering us. The sky turned bright white. Massive waves of energy shot through the gate. The creature screamed, a sound that shattered glass and shook the ground. Its body began to break apart, dissolving into light. The Guardian Protocol, Kira whispered, tears in her eyes. It's sealing the gate again. Laren grabbed her shoulder. Hold on. The explosion that followed was silent, no fire, no sound. Just pure light swallowing everything. When the light faded, the stars returned. The sky was calm again. The gate was gone. The creature had vanished. Icarus drifted quietly in orbit. Inside, Laran and Kira slowly opened their eyes. Did we make it? Laran asked weakly. Kira smiled faintly. Yes, it's over. Then she looked at her console. A final message blinking on the screen. It wasn't from the Empire. It wasn't from any known network. It simply said, humanity endures. The Guardians sleep once more. Kira stared at it for a long time. Who sent this? Laren looked out at the stars. Maybe the ones who came before us. The first humans. She smiled softly. Then maybe we're not alone after all. The ship drifted into the silent void, past the edge of the known galaxy. Somewhere beyond, faint blue lights blinked in the dark, thousands of them, like beacons watchy.